Hello everyone, this is Extreme Pepper back at you with another movie review. Today I'm going to talk about an Asian movie on YouTube, Tam Cam The Untold. This movie is about a Vietnamese old folktale version of the Cinderella story. The main character, Tam, is repeatedly bullied by her stepmother and stepsister, Cam, after her father passed away. She has to work like a maid in the house while her sis is being treated like a princess. However, she has a loving fairy godfather who shows up every time she sheds some tears in her eyes. One day, the prince wants to throw a royal ball to choose a bride. And of course, the stepmom and sister give Tam a ton of chores so she won't be able to make it to the ball. The last and the most challenging task that they give her is to separate black beans from white beans, which would take forever. At this moment, Tam cries and her fairy godmother shows up and helps her do a makeover so she can go to the royal ball. Even though the big basket of mixed beans was still there and she still didn't finish her final chore, so I'm not sure why it was a problem to begin with. So she rides her fancy horse to the royal ball, drops one of her shoes, gets to meet and marry the prince just like in Cinderella. But the story doesn't end there. After becoming the queen, she is killed by her stepmother out of jealousy. Then, her stepsister takes over the place as queen. The story gets complicated here when the minister starts to plan a treason. He makes multiple attempts to murder the king but failed. On the other side, Tam's spirit is still deep in love with the king, and her incarnation saves the king's life multiple times during his battleship. Then, eventually, she is brought back to life by her fairy godmother. Together, they win the battle against the evil minister, and here comes the final epic fighting scene between the king and the minister. At some point during the fight, the minister turns himself to be a giant ugly monster. Then in order to defeat him, the king turns himself into Kong. The two animal-looking monsters fight intensely in some random cave for a good few minutes. Then Kong wins and brings us a happy ending. My first impression of the movie is that it is a light-hearted Asian Cinderella love story with an addition of Godzilla vs. Kong to the storyline. Now let's get to the rating. First, CGI effects. They have pretty cool CGI effects, except at the end. The fighting scene between Godzilla and Kong seemed to have a low budget. Also, not sure if it's CGI effects, but the main character Tam seems to have minimal expression, especially the scene where she falls down from a tree and dies. Her facial expression is very unconvincing. Second, settings and costumes. They are pretty and realistic as well as the setting. There's a big forest and you can't see any houses in the movie except the Imperial Castle. I bet the director really wants to support the fight against global warming. Third, the action. The action is pretty dope. Sometimes I feel like they are doing squat exercise or step dance practice. The finale is quite epic despite a lesser quality version of Godzilla or Scorpion vs. Kong. Finally, the romance. The crown prince falls in love with the stepsister Tam, and they seem to have an awkward romance. It doesn't help as Tam doesn't have much emotional expression. After Tam's accidental death, the prince marries her stepsister, Cam, very quickly. But then he ends up with another short-lived marriage, so I can't say much about the romance here. So far, I like the concept of the fantasy movie, so I give it 1 pepper. It can be one of those good movies to enjoy with Mary J. Not sure about Godzilla vs. Kong though. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for more.